in fact, I even saw Junet Mohammed and the leader of the majority, Kimani Ichung'wah, saying, you know what, these kids, these Kenyans, I don't like using the word kids, if at all any Kenyan has been found disrespecting the presidency, portraying him in such a very, very extremist way, they should be charged. Wapelekwe ndani, walale ndani, right? Do you think this will now bar younger Kenyans from engaging in that manner?
It's like reading for us the old Bible. It's called the other part of the New Testament, the Old Testament. It's like using the Old Testament to actually judge the New Testament.
Yes.
And let me ask you a simple question.
Yeah.
Whose kids are these kids?
Our kids.
Including the member of parliament's kid.
Yes,
including the daughter of the president kid. This is the generation.
Yes, the generation.
So it is their kids and it's our kids as a nation. Now, as I've said, it's a systematic failure of the presidency. Sometimes you might blame your children's or your family for abusing you as a parent. But maybe you came home drunk. So how do you address the issues? You need to work on your morality in the first place, as you also tackle their reaction to your appearance or your behavior, you see. And what they must know that abduction can never bring down this generation. Because this is a generation that do not understand any fear. And you've seen us in the street, we are saying we have nothing to lose.
It's true, they're so fearless.
But the president has a lot to lose on how he reacts to this generation. He has a lot to lose. In fact, he is the one who has empowered this generation in the previous election, 2022. This generation played a critical role. If you look at them, the GenZs played a critical role to the presidency of this President William Ruto, you see. So his reactions and actions must also be in line with Article 25 of the Constitution, if you read it. It talks of freedoms and rights that can never be limited. And that dignified and torture life is a freedom in the Constitution.
Pidgin, let me ask you, President alikuwa anasema when he went to Homa Bay for that engagement with the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, alikuwa anasema, you know what, he's going to ensure that these abductions don't happen again. I don't know how serious the president was, because till today, none of those boys was abducted, including the many others. Right, from the Mandamano time, none of them has been released. Do you think the president was serious enough?
I think the president should be arrested, because he became more of guilty. He actually cleared that he is responsible. But he's saying that nimesikiza na nitasimamisha or tutasimamisha, which means basically now you've owned up
to the abduction.
You've owned up. Because remember, the national police say that they are not aware and they don't have in custody of those persons. Then you as a president at your position come and say, yes, you have understand and you're going to do it, which means you are guilty of the offense. You've come out public to say, yes, I'm guilty and I'll stop it. Now, how do you own guilt of an offense that is actually illegal and is against the Constitution, which means personally, you have violated the constitutional requirement by going ahead and abducting the citizens. You see? So the president should actually be charged on that ground, because he has now actually approved and confirmed that he's aware. And it's part of a process that the police have said clearly that they're not part of. And there's no way that the president can operate directly to the citizens without the police. So why does he go to an extra mile of committing an offense and coming in public and saying, I'm aware? Well, just imagine if a citizen could say, I'm aware of abducting the president, I know where he is, and I'll stop it.
What do you foresee happening if at all these boys are not going to be released in the next, say, first quarter of this year?
What will happen is that maybe he will continue to abduct more and kill more, because the younger people are not going to stop. They are not going to stop in any way possible. But I think the president, and my wish, if I was to be the president, is to come down. He came down and listened to the younger people during the finance bill. And actually the whole generation and the whole country were proud of that, because it was a mistake. You see, we are born as a younger generations. We've been educated so that one day we can fight for our parents who might not speak. We can speak on their behalf. And this is an opportunity in this country where we, the younger generation, must now speak on behalf of our fathers who cannot speak. It's not that they are happy with this, but you have the education and you have the courage, and it's our duty as citizens, as younger generation, to fight for our country. They fought for this country, this president and the likes of Raila, when they were young. So it is also our mandate to safeguard, protect, and fight for this country.
I agree.
And the president should only do one thing: listen to the people. That's why I'm telling you, Article 73 of the Constitution says that you don't rule the people, you serve the people.
Wow.
I actually like that you said the president should listen to the people. Now, let me bring it back to the entire government, not just the president himself. Do you think there is a huge there's a huge barrier in communication between the government and the citizens that they're meant to serve, in terms of doing projects, in terms of listening to what they want, in terms of the things that they're giving out, and that has led us to all these abductions.
That's automatically a case, because you see, this is actually a product of a failure in a system. And as I've told you, there's a failure in a system that the younger people are trying to address, but they can only do it through means they can be able to.
Yeah.
There is a serious failure of this government. Look, for example, when we went for the protest, I was in town, actually, and when the president actually decided to bring back, or actually decided not to sign the finance bill, what happened next? He reshuffles cabinet. Actually, to my honest opinion, I don't think reshuffling the cabinet was part of our priority as a younger generation. Because how did the CS approve the finance bill or contribute to the finance bill that was, in first of all, our issue? Now, when you reshuffle the cabinet, in order to win the public trust, you have to factor in things and changes that can be seen to be honest changes. What did he do? Bring his politicians. He reshuffles again, like you say it today. Bring his politicians. So it is not even miscommunication. It's lack of working in tandem with the needs of the people.
Yeah, but the other day he was saying, a couple of days ago, he was saying how his main priority right now is to unite Kenyans. And that's why we saw even Uhuru Kenyatta's men, we saw Raila's guys, you know, just have sort of like a government of national unity, because, I mean, the issues that we're going through are crazy, they're deep, they're complex. It seems as if that's the case from the president's perspective, right? So bringing Kenyans together is a step in the right direction, at least for the short term.
I think, and I'll be honest, the decision of the president to move towards Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga is uniting the dynasty. Is uniting the system that has been oppressive to the younger people. And I think it was upon the realization that these younger people are going to bring him down. So the best he can do is to bring his bodies together. So they are forming a unity of the people who have benefited from the system, the people who have been dynasty, to block this revolution that is coming in. Because if they are disunited, I'm telling you, if Ruto cannot stand with Uhuru and Raila together in this such a time, he will be down anytime sooner.
Are you saying
so what he's doing is actually, okay, I have now enemies here. What do? Let me collect people who comes from different countries. Anytime you realize or you hear politicians talking about national unity, there's no something like national unity. For example, we are here, we are not from the same community. How divided are we? We've been in the streets as a younger generation. How divided are we? Have you heard anybody killing any community in this country because they are not together?
No.
But the unity required is the unity of the politicians for the purpose to maintain the status quo, for the purpose for the dynasty and the system to continue controlling the people. And we, as the younger generation and the people, equally need that unity of us to fight against them. And that is where we are heading.
So, Pidgin, you're telling me the president is just desperate because he's worried about 2027, hence bringing back guys like Uhuru Kenyatta in order to, for example, regain, because I know guys from Central really voted for him. So, you know, maybe the fact that Gachagua is not in government, the idea of bringing in Uhuru was to regain the votes that he lost purportedly from Central.
That's what is so unfortunate. Because for the last 2 years, the president has done absolutely nothing.
Right.
And instead of focusing in the next 2 years to do something, he's already planning how to win the next election. But he's using a very wrong method and procedure, bearing in mind this is a president who campaigned against tribalism.
Yes.
He said, hii siasa makabila, sijui kabila fulani wanaungana kunipinga, lazima ishe. And he's the same person who is going for the same tribal line. I'm telling you, we, the younger generation, may never fall for that tribal politics and the tribal line at all. We will not. I'm telling you honestly.
Talk to me about the recent attempts by Gachagua to sort of form an alliance between himself and the Mulembe nation. Will this one work?
Gachagua himself, I think he might not be honest enough. Having served as a deputy president for 2 years, you could not, you didn't know Mulembe existed, or now the company where you're going existed, or the alliances you're talking about. You are actually impeached on one grounds of being tribal. And after you are impeached, have you either changed your name from Paul to Saul, or you got some conversion to realize now you need the community to come together? Gachagua is desperate. And I'll say he's making political mistake. Gachagua is part of this system. Same way Kalonzo is part of this system. And I'm foreseeing a possibility of they going back together. Kalonzo might run to join the same Uhuru and Raila and Ruto before 2027.
I agree.
And all these political offers of this system, of Moi system, will work together. I'm telling you, Gachagua have no option to actually oppose this government because he doesn't have any grounds and legal grounds to oppose it. Yeah. You are already at disadvantage.
It's true.
You have all cases against you. If they decide to pull any trigger, you're down. So he's just trying to walk around, but I know he'll go back there.
Yeah.
Because tell me, for example, if Uhuru is joining the government, is Mount Kenya not in government? Or Gachagua is the Mount Kenya? Because now you have the CSS coming from Mount Kenya back. And in fact, he's bringing governors, powerful people.
You want to, but Gachagua has somehow, you know, okay, let me find the right word. He's gaining sympathy. People are feeling like he's actually the true face of the opposition. Yeye ndo anaongea lugha ya ground at this point. And that's why you saw even the other day, I was even watching by the guys on social media, you know, a couple of videos on even YouTube, and guys are saying, hey, bana, Gachagua is really getting a lot of traction. That time he went to the Mulembe Nation. You know, people are resonating with his narrative, right? So how are you going to tell me that Gachagua has not, in fact, that he has nothing to offer? He could actually get back into some sort of handshake with the president.
I'll describe Gachagua as a woman who gets into relationship with a husband, then his ex-woman, then come back to the kid to give the bad stories of their father. Basically, you can win it temporarily.
Come on.
But the truth will come out and you'll never hold it, you see. Because he's trying to win some sympathy that is not honest or genuine. So therefore, it can only last for a period of time. That's why even the hustler narrative only lasted for a period of time, but it could not be sustained forever because it's built on lies. And lies have an end.
Yeah.
When people open up their eyes, they realize that. In fact, I will tell you, Gachagua ran to Mount Kenya and Murima narrative when he knew he was already cornered. He was not even that Murima all along. If you realize the narrative of Murima and Mount Kenya came somehow close to him being cornered. So he wanted to land somewhere where you'll say, okay, if you chase me out, you're chasing me because I'm a Murima person. He's not Murima person in any way possible. He is not. I'm telling you, he's not. Because you only don't become a Murima because you are born in Murima. But your heart, your activities, and your development should be showing where you are actually. He's not. That's the same way Ruto came, I'm a hustler. But when he got elected, it's very clear he is not, and he was never. He was a system, and I think this was a strategy of the system. I'm thinking that either the political class knew there was to be a revolt between the common citizens. And what they did, they actually sent out one of their messiah, probably Ruto, and came out to actually block the revolution. And that's the same way they are also doing something here. Now Gachagua is coming out to say, oh, we now want to revolt against the government. He'll go back there. They always find a way to counter attack or counter any revolution we raise. Look, for example, these young guys who are going out like Akina Kasman and running up and down. It's a very clear indication. And the biggest problem is that majority of our people, our politicians, have a price tag.
Oh, we'll talk about that in just a bit. Steph, you have a question?
Yeah, so there's a statement that Morcoman made. I'm not sure if you know it. He said, since President Ruto took reign of office, there's no single citizen who has been killed by police, nor has ever been a policy of killing people the way they used to see bodies in Rivatala, and in Rivatana and Yala. And since he took office, in 2 years, nobody has been killed. What do you think of that statement?
That could only apply to a foreigner, but a person who has been a member of parliament to be just mature enough, because that's a baby. Those are almost talks that could not make sense to anywhere else. Kipchumba has been in this government. He knows what's going on. Leave even this year. The other year we had demonstration. This year there are reports of 60-something. So does it mean that Kipchumba is trying to deny those reports by Human Rights Commission that people are killed? Okay, people abducted, which even the president didn't deny. Remember the other time when the president was being asked the GenZ were shot, and he said how many people? You remember when he was arguing the number? So even he knew there were people killed. Now, how is Kipchumba coming to say nobody has been killed?
Exactly.
What are you trying to? Probably he's a clout chaser. He's trying to be at the good records with the president. If you want to be in good records with the president, after all, he has gained some policy and the docket of security, which I'm telling you, it was a mistake to give Kipchumba. It was a mistake.
Why do you say it was a mistake?
Security don't need these bootlickers and people who will stalk these statements. In fact, you are a minister of Interior and Security, and you say nobody has been killed. How sure are you and how honest are you? And it will cost Ruto appointing Kipchumba to be in that position. And I'm foreseeing Kipchumba might not finish by 2027 to be in the same position.
Okay.
Speaking of that position, now Mr. Oscar Sudi went on to say, I wish ningepewa mimi nikuwe Minister wa Interior Security. Ningenyorosha watu wengi. Watu wangekimbia.
It's a mistake. I don't want to be trouble. It's a mistake the people from president's community are doing. If your brother is the president or the minister, you don't go around and just trying to threaten everyone in the village because your brother is so and so. And this is a mistake this community is doing, and that mistake is going to cause the president.
So is it a case of a lot of just sycophants being around the president? Maybe they're the ones who are making the president look bad.
No, they're just dwarfs.
Yeah.
Look at how they reason. It's just honestly, that's how who they are. It's not even sycophancy. Someone just project who he is. And that's the level of thinking of Sudi. That's what he's saying, is this level of thinking.
Yeah.
And he doesn't deserve to be a leader, because if you have to be a leader, you have to think beyond the ordinary thinking, so that you can be able to balance both sides. So he's at a place where, for example, let's say if he was to be the minister and he killed everybody else, will you have a government?
But that's statement by Sudi. I remember he was in a church a couple of days ago, and he was, let me just put it into context. He was referring to this whole man, via social media, whatever's been going down on social media, talking about how kids have become very disrespectful, and parents need to step up and show the kids the right way. And it's interesting because there's some parents who are resonating. If you look at Gen Zs, they're kind of spoiled. They're a bit disrespectful. We're Africans. We're supposed to be conservative. There's a way we're supposed to engage with our leaders. If you go to countries like Ghana, I kid you not, the Gen Zs are not like this. So I'm not saying that Kenyans all you need to tone down the energy. No, I'm not saying that. But there's some people who look at it from that perspective. But there's some time back I also saw some leader who was saying, you know what, Mr. President, si ungefanya vile Uhuru alifanya, utoke tu social media. Yeah, because even Uhuru, remember, he was so fed up of social media. Guys talking and saying, mimi sasa naona hapa ati mtu alisema hivi. Metoka hiyo maneno ya social media. Should the president just even probably just leave this maneno ya social media? Because it's neither here nor there. We're focused on the plan, get out there and liberate Kenyans, empower Kenyans. He should just concentrate on his mandate as opposed to maneno ya social media.
It's very funny that the president is treating our social media as a country. So he responds to social media as a citizens. He wakes up to check on what's going on. He arrests people based on a social media. That's very stupid anyway. I'll tell you, because how do you run a country on a social media?
Let's be respectful.
No,
this is the right words.
No, I'm telling you honestly. Because how do you describe it in any angle of knowledge that you are a president, but operate on your emotions on a social media? You respond to a social media, you send police officer on social media, and you are paid salary. If you want to operate a government of social media, you should sit in Sugoi there. We pay him for social media alliances instead of coming here physically with the magari hapa na wanangangana kuweka tags on social media.
Hold it right there. Pidgin Odimwengu is a Pan-African activist, a politician as well, and we are talking about the state of the nation basically. Yani kumekuwa na mambo mingi sana, the Gen Z abductions, Gachagua alliance, and the Raila-Uhuru effect right now. I can see it's a couple of minutes to the top of the hour. But Pidgin, when it comes to this younger generation, Kenya, of course, we've got the majority are youthful. Lakini pia tumeona quite a number of Kenyans who've just come up, especially after the Maandamano. They've gained a lot of fame, and people were even saying, these could be the future leaders of our country. Case in point, the likes of Kasmuel, Morara, Sijui Hanifa. Okay, somebody else is Gaito. Sasa yako kwa social media, not kwa ground sana. But we'll talk about Gaito. I know JP are going to bring in that angle in a bit. Yeah. But my question to you, Pidgin, is when you look at these young leaders, let me be specific. A guy like Kasmuel, for example, the other day he was I think it was in Gishu or somewhere, I can't remember. He's been roaming around the country with Raila Odinga. People are saying that these guys could actually compromise the revolution, quote unquote, because they're sort of being enticed by the status quo, by the system, by government to join them. Could that be true? Are these people going to slow down this quote unquote revolutionary phase that we're in?
It's true. I'm telling you, I declared my presidential candidature before Gen Z thing came in. Actually, I was running for president at the age of 26, 2022.
You're a Gen Z, actually.
I was Gen Z by then.
Yeah.
And I didn't go out because it was revolution. People are out, so I'm going out. You see? And I'll still run for the same presidency in 2027.
Good stuff.
For those who want to say their things, let them say their things. But I'll still run for presidency 2027 because I'm not coming out of a situation. I'm coming deeper from understanding that there's a systematic problem. So we are not being leaders born out of a situation. Like the same way Casmuel came in. And I'll say Casmuel just happened to be ordinary citizens who saw an advantage somewhere and decided to be popular with it. The problem is that how he uses popularity. He gained popularity, then decided to use his popularity as a bargain tool to earn some coins to get to the system. The thing the younger generation must know that this older generation will die anytime sooner.
Of course.
But your reputation will be we will be the same age mates, and we'll be arguing the presidents and the politics of this country in the next generation. And we'll remind you that sometimes back when you came up, remember where you went to.
Yeah.
So we must actually safeguard our reputations as younger generation. I know Morales is struggling with this. I know the other people are there, but we must always safeguard our reputation, because political ambitions are not won overnight. It's a process we'll be fighting for, but one day will remind you that you compromised, and that day you'll really wish to come back. You see, that's the same way now. Ruto is really wishing to come back to the people's love, but he can't gain it because he has already compromised. You see, Raila Odinga cannot come back and gain whatever he had before because he's already compromised. You see, and younger people should be having long-term ambition if you want to get to politics. Not the short-term ambition, okay, appoint you as yes and that's done. No, if you're thinking that way, I don't think you have the ability to move our generation to the next step.
Are you telling me that these individuals could... is this revolution pegged on just a few individuals? I mean, it's like it's an ideology. How can it be pegged to one or two?
No, it can't. You see, Thomas Sankara reminded us that our revolution is not a public speaking tournament.
Exactly.
And I think Marco would have thought it was a public speaking tournament.
Right.
And he got the trophy anyway, out of the public speaking. Our revolution is geared towards us understanding first that there's a problem that we must solve. And this problem is a systematic problem. My friend, we've been having elections for 64 years, with each election in a manifesto. And nothing has changed for 64 years. So our revolution is not just a contest of this thing. It's a contest of a pure system that has failed us. And people who have benefited from the system for a period of time, they don't want to leave. Like now, Uhuru is coming back, and they don't want to leave. And they never leave. They're thinking of, who is the next person? And we'll never wait for any time for them to leave. We will fight them. And our fight is ideological fight, but it's also a fight brought out of our circumstances, our problem you're going through. No. Kuna mtu akianza kufanya kitu anafanya juu ya ile shida amepitia. Si juu ati okay, nikifanya hivi naweza pata 50. No, unafanya juu ya shida umepitia. Ndio maana unasema hata kama nitakufuata nikufe. But let me move, because where I'm moving is better than where I'm coming from. So no matter how hard it is, let me just keep moving. You see? But these few people are actually going to control the minds of so many. Like how Casmuel won the mind of so many before they realized it was not actually genuine. And I'm seeing many people might do the same mistake by actually falling to some of these guys. The system have its projects. Wataeka watu huko na huko. Wanaekanga, for those who bet, wanaekanga double chance. So wanaeka chance ya huko na chance ya huko. Unaenda kufall kwa huyu na pale in the same system. We must discern these people as they come in. Matara is in here, Morales is in, and many people are in. Let's discern them slowly and silently.
My friend told me that poverty is the problem.
No, poverty. People are poor because some people are rich.
It's true.
That's the only reason why people.
So everyone has a price on their heads.
But if you think about it, let's just look at the other side of the coin.
Yeah.
You could be saying that they compromise themselves by joining the system and everything, but. If you look at it by how do you change the system unless you're inside the system? So do you not think that they had a chance to actually come in and view the points of all the other Gen Zs and be the voice of the Gen Z within the system so people could hear them better?
My sister, since 1963, there are people who have joined the system. They have joined it.
Yeah.
Have they ever changed it? There are so many who have joined it. Have they ever changed it? Raila is actually known for joining it. So what has he ever changed? So me, I know. But the few people, you cannot join a club of so many people and say, okay, you guys umejoin nataka kwa change. You only join, unaambiwa chukua ka stake fulani. That's why unapewa ka corruption moja na chukua ka scandal fulani. The moment umepewa umekula hiyo, so ile siku nataka kuongea. Sasa hizi Kalonzo akiongea anaambiwa yata narudi pamoja. Akisikia yata landa narudi huku.
Exactly.
Hata Matiang'i mwenye anaongelelea, unasikia anaambiwa siji shamba fulani narudi huku. So the system finds a way that immediately you join, they get you ka scandal. So they'll always keep you on check with Akaka scandal. Always on check.
You're one of us.
Always on check. Sasa kuna siku utairuka. Ukiruka tu hivi unaambiwa umejua ulikula kitu fulani na tunaweza kuweka ndani. So nobody has ever joined the system and changed the system since independence.
While he's inside.
Nobody.
All right, hold it right there, Pidgin. It's 8 a.m. Sorry, 8 p.m. Hey, you know I'm used to doing the breakfast show. It's 8 p.m. right about now. We're coming back with more conversations with Pidgin Odimwengu. He's a Pan-African activist, a politician, and we're talking about the state of the nation. Of course, right here in the 254. I've got Africa Must Wake Up, Nas, Damian Marley in just a bit. Tondekazi, good evening and happy holidays.
You played the best music.
More of the classics and the hits you love. Spice FM.